Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 83. This is segment 2. This is a health and fitness segment. And in fact, we have a long extended health and fitness segment. It's such an important topic. I felt like it was important to give it more time. So I'm talking with Vickie, and can you say your last name for me, Vickie?
My last name is Aigner.
Aigner.
Uh-huh.
I said Aigner before. I apologize in advance.
Well, it's all right.
But people always screw up Micalizzi, so I think
know,
that
right?
a jail-free card, but it's hard. It's hard. So today we're talking about at-home fitness for seniors. And, I didn't realize how much this topic was close to heart until I started to do a little research about talking about it, and also just how familiar I am with it. So I've been staying in Sun City for the past couple months. And so the senior population has been a lot more on my mind. I've been helping my friend transition his home after his mom passed away unexpectedly. She was diagnosed with lung cancer in December and was gone in 3 weeks, and left him with a rather full, shall we say, home of things that needed to be dispersed. And so I've been helping him to disperse those things and staying in Sun City while I've been doing that. But I'll tell you, it's been an interesting thing to be living just in a senior's space when there hasn't been the social activity that's usual for Sun City, because there's 5 recreation centers in Sun City. And for those of you who aren't from Arizona, Sun City was the first seniors community developed in the country. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I knew it was huge, but I didn't know it was the first.
It was the first, and there's 40,000 homes here.
Wow.
I was considering purchasing this home and chose not to. It's just a little too far out, and probably a bigger home than I need at this point. But it made me really think about, for my mom, who's 80, who just lost her husband, who was 86 when he passed, just about what her final years will look like, and her visiting me in Phoenix. So I am purchasing something in a seniors community, but just not this one. And one of the reasons why is when my mom visits, I want to make sure that she has a built-in social network here in Arizona. So if she does need to transition from Vermont to Arizona, she's got a built-in community here, because I know how important it is. One of the reasons why I know is that my mom and I are both sober 20 and 22 years. And so we have a very strong, isn't that awesome? We have a very strong sober community back east. And so that's why I don't want to move her, because she's got such a great community. So I want to get her out here and get her immersed in that culture, but also get her immersed in the seniors market. And by doing that, it's made me look at recreation centers. Like the recreation center is close to my new home. Cross your fingers, it should be closing this week. Is in near the Mountain View area, community center, which has the Thunderbird Arts, Phoenix Arts is in there. So I've been able to look in the window, and even that has been like, wait a minute, like, what are people who are used to doing that doing right now? So the 5 reasons to stay positive when you're older are to be physical, social, keep your brain moving. What else did I say? Reduce your stress and have a purpose. And so we're going to talk about the physical part of it, but really the physical does incorporate a lot of the other things too, right?
Yeah, you know what? It really does, because we are holistic beings, and we can't separate what we do physically affects our mental attitude, affects us socially, emotionally, and energetically. So everything works together. And I think that's fantastic that you're providing that for your mom, so she has someplace to go when she comes out here. It's huge.
It's huge, right?
Yeah.
So tell everybody who you are again, and like what you do.
Okay, so I have been a fitness professional. I got into natural health field about 45 years ago. When in my 20s, I had a serious health issue, and I chose to choose natural methods back at that time to deal with it. So I've been passionate about helping people get well from the inside out. So not just physically, but realizing that, we can move our body all we want, and we can eat all the right foods, but if we're not mentally or emotionally free from baggage, from those things that weigh us down on the inside, we're not at our optimal health. So I just decided that through various circumstances, fast forward that a few years, I raised a family. My husband and I have 6 kids, and he passed away. He passed away when my youngest was 3 and my oldest was 18. That was about 19 years ago.
Wow.
So I had to do something to support my family. And I was carrying so much emotional baggage. Like I said, I did all the right things with my body. I ate all the right food, but I was a mess on the inside. And I decided it was time to figure out what to do about that. And, again, fast forward a few more years. And that was kind of the missing piece for me to go, you know what? I'm just supposed to go help people be healthy and happy and live free and love their lives, be the best they can be. And that a big part of that is socialization, living in community, and having a purpose. Like you said, we all want to feel needed. We all want to be part of something, and we all want to make a difference. So I started Alive Fit and Free in 2012 just to do that. I didn't know what it looked like, and it's morphed and ebbed through all of these years to the point where now we create adaptive wellness programs, and we target mostly senior communities and other groups, maybe like brain injury people or people that are not in, quote, the mainstream fitness. We feel like everybody should be the star of the show. Everybody should have the ability to move their body and to be healthy and happy, whatever that looks like for each person. So, yeah.
I think for me, I thought that I would move away from fitness when I started off in fitness, because I thought that when I got older, people wouldn't want to train with me or wouldn't want to hear what I had to say because I was old, right? But what I've actually discovered is that as I age, and some say gracefully, I think it's just because I'm Italian. I mean, I just got blessed with Italian genes, right? And my dad had almost a full head of hair till the day he died. You know what I mean? Like, barely turned gray. Probably the last maybe 4 or 5 years, my dad was grayer, but he still had dark hair. And I don't color my hair. It's just I'm blessed with being Italian. Okay, the Mediterranean thing. But I also think that when you're younger and you're fit, you kind of fit by default in a way, because you're younger. But as you get older, when people see that you're actually maintaining fitness, they want to know how you're doing it, and they're drawn to it like never before. So I'm sure people are drawn to you for that reason, because you're continuing to stay fit and healthy. As an older person.
Yeah.
I also was reading. I was reading about how our cultures have changed, because it used to be a one-income world, and now it's a two-income world. And if you have a bad break and both of you are working, there's trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a one-income world and you can bring in the second person, that can save you. But what happened for you is you had a one-income world and you had to step up and fill in the blanks, right? Because you had 6 kids.
Yeah, I did. And because I was just homeschooled my kids, we lived in the country, stayed on the farm kind of thing. So all of a sudden it was like, what the heck am I going to do now? And my passion was helping people get healthy. And it was just like, okay, I'm going for it. But, what you said there is really interesting too, and how society has changed. I remember being a little girl. I'm 67. And I remember my grandmother was an old lady at the age of 50. I mean, grandmas back then weren't what grandmas are now. Our society has totally changed. I mean, she wore house dresses, and I don't think she ever exercised a day in her life, right? But yeah, and so we're living longer now, and with that comes the responsibility to feel good. I want to live to be 100, but I want to feel good. And I want to be energetic. I don't want to be a old person. I want to be a healthy, vivacious old person. And so that's kind of my passion, to say, hey, you guys, it doesn't matter what age you are. Let's just get out there and enjoy our lives. Have fun, laugh.
I want to lead you the why part of my question. Do you ever follow Growing Bolder with Mark Middleton?
No, I have never seen that.
One of my favorite. I've been following them for about, 5 or 6 years. They're actually a marketing company. And his whole thing is he's basically challenging how we age, to grow bolder as opposed to growing older. And go ahead, and he does like a really great, he and his team do a really great kind of pro-aging post throughout the day. And I just absolutely love what Middleton and his team have to say about aging. I'm kind of lucky in the way, because I had aunts growing up who were just, hey, look good at the age that you are. You know what I mean? Put your lipstick on. Like, not that I'm in lipstick every second, because people have seen me here in my house coat with no lipstick on, my hair up in a bun. Yeah. I don't think to be made up every second, but I do think that your attitude about aging is very important.
It is.
And how you want to. There's a Growing Bolder post the other day that said, you can't get over the hill if you keep climbing. And I just think that's so important. And I love that you had a bad break and you turned it into you immediately went to a purpose-driven solution. And your why is, I didn't have to even ask you, but why fitness? Why this?
Yeah, it saved my life, basically. Living healthy was not an option for me. And I became passionate about showing other people that they didn't have to die when the doctor says you've got cancer and you've got, 3 weeks to live. Yet when you go to make an appointment to get into the doctor's office, you can't get you in for 6 weeks. So how does that work, right? And so I became really passionate about the fact that there is an alternative. Let me take your hand and show you how to get up from this, no matter what this is. You lose a spouse, what are you going to do? Are you going to lay there and wallow in the dirt, or are you going to turn it around and get up and say, you know what, I'm going to let this make me stronger. I'm not going to be a victim of that circumstance.
The reality is that everyone's going to eventually, someone's left behind. And of course that's on my mind a lot because my mom was the one that was just left behind. And if you watched the segment earlier, I always wondered what it would be like for my dad, because my dad was the one that was less social, had less friends. My mom is the butterfly, right? But the idea that there's always going to be one person left behind. And, when you're with somebody who's older than you, people assume, well, what are you going to do if that person dies first? I'm like, well, you just never know. I could die first. I mean, you have no idea how long you have on the planet. But if you're in a partnered situation, someone's going to get left behind. So I'm really intensely thinking about this, especially over this week, where people, when you get into a partnership, you find that you're totally immersed and all your friendships and everything is immersed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's better to have less of that and more coming together, but also a little bit of separation. My parents had that. My mom had her social. My dad was not a social person. My mom went and did. My dad would come on occasion and he would do his best to show up. And everybody knew it's funny that one of our mutual friends chimed in and said, my father didn't have to say anything. He was a loud soul. He would just sit quietly. But I always thought that the way to rectify some of those challenges was to get a little bit more enmeshed that way. But now I'm seeing with my mom, the way she's been able to bounce back, that if my parents had been more enmeshed, it would have been harder for her.
I think yes.
Network on her own, separate from my father, has been her saving grace, because the things that she's been hesitant to do have been the things that she did when she was enmeshed with my dad.
Absolutely. So I think that's key. It's like we can be in a relationship, and we're all in many relationships,
right?
But we have to own ourselves, and we have to keep a part of ourselves and know who we are without losing that. Whether we're in that close relationship with one person or we're in a relationship in a community, it doesn't matter. We still have to own our own identity. So we have that strength, right? That center, that we know who we are, even when that happens. I didn't really have that when my husband died. I mean, I was so totally immersed in, my family and taking care of things. It took me about 5 years, and I, said, hey, I got to have some help here, because I don't even know who I am. I don't know what I like. I don't know what I want. Who am I? And so that's the process. If we can maintain some sort of, or get to know who we are as a person. I say sometimes I sit down and have a tea party with myself and, talk to myself, sit on one side of the table and then move to the other side and ask myself questions. I mean, it may sound silly, but it's kind of what we have to do to get to know who we are.
Yeah, I've really been thinking intensely, especially this week, about this particular topic, about the always kind of making sure that I've been a solo a lot in my life. So I've always had a hard time partnering up to a certain degree, because I'm used to being solo. But maybe when you think about partnership, it's two solos that come together is really what it is.
Yeah.
So that when one passes, you're able to make that transition. But and as far as with fitness is concerned, fitness actually is a solo activity. You can do it with people, but it really is it's you on your bike, it's you in your heart, it's you doing yoga, it's you. And I think that one of the reasons why yoga is such a great thing for people with PTSD is it gets you back into your body, so you can be present in your body. Yeah. So what would you think that, of all the lessons that you've learned over the past 8 years in business, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned about being in business? Because as much as we talk about all of these kind of very emotional things as it relates to health and fitness, you're a business person. So I always talk to health and fitness people, and I make sure I ask this question about business, because I think sometimes we forget we're in business. Artists, the same thing. We
Right.
forget we're actually in business, because what we're doing is we're so focused on other people. It's a service-based business, but it's still a business. So what's the biggest lesson you've learned?
I think the biggest lesson for me is I'm a pretty driven person, and sometimes I let that drive outshadow my passion for what I do. I mean, I love what I do. Love, love it. Fires me up. It fuels me. I love encouraging people to get healthy and happy. I love moving my body, and I just play and have fun all day long.
Yeah.
And sometimes I lose sight of that for flipping into I've got to get the clients, I've got to make the money, when my focus goes off of serving people and doing the best to honor them by coming up with new moves or showing them something new I've learned. And I focus on, oh my gosh, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. And I focus on the money part of it. I lose that passion, that desire, and I start to get burned out. So I have to come back to, why am I doing this? Because I love it and I want to share with you. And if I stay focused on that, then the rest of it falls into play. Okay, now that's not to say you don't need to have a business plan. You need to have a plan, you need to have goals, you need to have strategies in place, but don't be so locked into those that you can't flow with where that business is going. Life does not go in a linear line, in a straight line. I'm going to go from A to B and I'm going to get there in 5 minutes. No, you're not. It doesn't work that way. Whatever is supposed to happen for our personal growth does. And you might end up clear off on a different path or a different trail, and that trail is going to wind back and take you to where you're supposed to go. 5 years ago, I would never have thought that I would be working with senior citizens in assisted and independent living facilities. Just kind of happened to go down that path.
Yeah.
And it's been fantastic and amazing. So where I am today, I had no idea 20 years ago that I would be here. And it's all okay. We can't try and force something to happen. We need to just take our hands off the wheel and flow with it. Yes, be smart about that business. Have those goals and those strategies in mind. But if a detour comes along, you need to take that detour. Don't get
I think it's important to see what you're saying is when you focus on serving the client, the money is going to follow.
Yes.
If you're just working on getting members or getting dollars in the door and you're not focusing on the passion for fitness, and then people are turned off by that. And I agree with you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what do they want? They want that vibrancy. They want that gift that only you can give them.
Yeah.
One of us has that gift, whatever it might be. And when we're living that gift and we're giving that, it's just like people go, yeah, I want that. And then they come alive and they go do the same thing.
It's interesting. I have a health and fitness part of my business, not just through Relentless Talk Radio, but a nutrition partner that I work with. And we've rebranded some of our focus, right, on how we're approaching things, but more towards the art of well-being than on weight loss or performance or energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that we've refocused a little bit, because that's really what it comes down to, about being well, the art of being well.
The art of being well, yeah.
The art of being well, and the how you eat, and which products you choose to consume, where you want to grocery shop, what type of gym membership you're going to buy, because all of these things have dollars attached to them. Yep. Those are all personal preferences, but the passion for health and fitness and well-being is really what drives all of it. And so when I'm building that part of my business, and I'm working with my team on that, I say the same thing you're saying. Don't focus on what your commission is going to be this week or how many dollars you're bringing in. Focus on helping the people. Mm-hmm. And when you help people to get where they want to go, then your dollars are going to follow. Absolutely. But if you're in it for the money, people can smell that. It's not sincere. It's not genuine. And, there's nobody more sincere and genuine about health and fitness. I have tried my whole life to get out of the health and fitness industry. But what happens is I'm so passionate about it. People continue to be drawn to me because I grew up in a bicycle shop in Vermont.
Yeah.
Obviously, looking at me, it's the way I live, right? Okay. So it's so much a part of my being that I had to keep on keeping it in the mix, you know? And so I created this segment on Relentless Talk Radio because I had to be accountable for the fact that people are going to reach out to me anyway. I might as well get people like yourself to talk about what it is they're doing so that I could, you know, help spread the wealth. So
absolutely, very cool.
we were going to talk about some things about aging that we really wanted to pay attention to. And we talked in pre-show about, you know, when you're younger, you're trying to gain muscle because you want to look hot, or you want to fit in the right jeans, or you want to lose weight because it's all kind of external, and there's ego and that kind of thing attached to it.
Right.
I mean, some of us when we're younger work out to be healthy, but if we're really honest, it doesn't really start happening until we're about 50 and you realize like, okay, things are starting to droop that never drooped before. And I got to, you know, so it stops being about the feel good, the look good.
Yeah.
And it starts to be more about feel better.
It does.
As you get older. And also if you're not building muscle as you get older, because you're losing muscle every year due to age, you're actually losing essential muscle. So if you're not working out, you're going backwards as you get older, correct?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The focus definitely changes. And it's not even so much, well, let me rephrase that. Again, we are a holistic being, and a lot of times when you're working with the elderly, and I'm gonna use that word, but you know, I don't particularly like it. But if you're working with
older people,
older people, you know, they might again, let's go back to the loss of a partner, feeling isolated, not having a purpose anymore. All of those things are huge. So when you start working with somebody, especially in a group, a lot of those things change and they become fulfilled. They'll find their purpose. Now they've got a little tribe of people, whether they're together virtually or physically in a location. Right now we can't meet in locations, so we do all of our classes virtual, but we still have our same gang that meets together every day for the classes. And so now they've found a purpose, and we fire them up energetically. And one of the main things we do in my system is it's about the energetic field, and it's about lowering stress. So I would say, you know, and be very, very confident in saying that probably 95 to 99% of us walk around in our fight or flight, stressed out nervous system most of the time. And when we do that, it changes everything. It lowers our immune system. It makes us a mess. Nothing works right within inside of us. And we have huge numbers across the world of people that are taking anti-anxiety, anti-depression medications because they can't deal with life. They don't know how. And so when we get to this age, one thing that's really fun is I kind of have a captive audience. So everything that we do focuses on flipping us out of that stress loop into our feel-good parasympathetic nervous system, which releases the feel-good hormones, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. That happens immediately because some of the things that we do in class, so we do specific things that lower that stress response. So all of a sudden we're not fearful and we're not depressed because we're going to go sit in a lonely apartment by ourselves. We have a group, we have a little tribe now, where we're releasing those feel-good hormones. We have a purpose because we're meeting every day, and what happens if Jackie doesn't show up? Someone's got to go check on her, right? So we're taking care of that, and now we're raising the energy levels because of the moves that we're doing. We're releasing feel-good hormones that are going to help build the immune system. We're going to get stronger and healthier. We're doing movement patterns that work on the brain, so all of a sudden we have better communication between right brain, left brain.
Right.
Then we're building new neural pathways, which allow us to build new pathways for thinking. So as those old pathways start to shut down and we can't remember what that guy's name is over there, guess what? We got a new pathway to start thinking. And maybe next time when I meet him, I'm going to know what his name is.
My God, my memory skills have gone like literally like they're just gone. It's just absolutely awful.
So here you go. So all of a sudden the focus changes, and then we've got balance and coordination issues. How are we going to help somebody be able to stand on their feet when they start to trip? Well, we're going to work on loosening up the hips. We're going to create flexibility and strength at the same time, so that they know that when they start to lose their balance, their body is automatically going to go into those patterns that you're teaching them. So maybe they're not going to fall next time when they trip over that little ledge in the sidewalk, right?
Right.
And so all of a sudden they're seeing that, you know, I have one group I've been with for about 3 years. We started with 10 chair squats. We're up to 35 with hand weights. And I mean, we have somebody that's 95 in the class.
That's awesome. 95. I love that. That is so.
I know, it's so cool. It's the best thing ever. But the cool part is that they can see the difference in what's happening. Or you give them a movement pattern that has 5 moves in it, and they look at you like, are you kidding me? I can clap my hands and that's about it. And 3 weeks down the road, guess what? They've got the whole thing going, and they're just into it like a moving meditation. And it's like, those are tangible things that they're seeing that affect not only them being in class, but it's changing the quality of their lives, because they're telling their friends and they're sharing what they're learning and how they're feeling with somebody else. And it's kind of the name of the game. It's like they're living a good life. They're living a life and they're feeling alive, fit, and free. And
right.
So that's kind of the goal here, is like, let's have fun. If it's not fun, I'm not going to do it because I get bored or lazy. So I have to make it fun, and I have to make it a game. We laugh, we clap, we get silly, we stand on our head. We do all kinds of funny things. We don't really stand on our heads, but you know what I mean? It's like, you know what? Don't take yourself so seriously.
Right. Enjoy your life a little bit.
Yeah. And it's okay. We can be free and we can be silly. And it doesn't matter what anybody thinks.
So one of the things we talked about pre-show is the pros and cons of being in a senior community. So I could also see a lot of the pros, but I see a lot of the negatives too. So let's talk about which one do you want to do like a pro and a negative, or do you want to do all the negatives, all the pros, or how do you want to do it?
I'll do the pros.
Okay.
Okay. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Well, how about I do a negative and you do a
perfect. Okay. All right. You got it.
Low energy level, because people are there's not that youth around you that brings the energy level up in the neighborhood.
Oh, that's a good con. That is a good con. Well, but then you can have people like me, no matter that, still think they're 18 on the inside, that I can come in and I can be that young person. And so I'm thinking about, you know, not so much like 55 plus living communities. I'm talking more like about independent living facilities.
Right.
Those kinds of things. Okay. And I see when they are open, they're inundated with people all over, young people, old people, all kinds of people. So they have a myriad of activities to choose from if they choose to participate.
There's a choice. It's always a choice, isn't it?
It is a choice.
Greater frequency of dealing with death and mourning and grief.
That's true, but you have a bigger support system when that happens. You have people around that can help share in that grief with you. You're not sitting at home in an isolated situation without anybody else around to deal with that.
To tell you the truth, those are the only two downsides that I can think of, because I think that I've seen so much, you know, positive reasons to be, even with COVID keeping everything shut down. Right. You know, when people are riding around in their golf carts and they're, you know, walking and they're joking and there's a real community. You know, maybe another part of the downside might be, especially in a neighborhood like Arizona, that there's less people in the summertime.
That's true. There are less people in the summertime, but if you go someplace like Minnesota, there's probably less people out in the wintertime. Right? Well, I say Arizona in the summer is just like a cold winter someplace else. We just know there's 2 months. We're not going to be outside a whole lot.
I can't really think of anything else that would be a negative. I mean, it's been a
So yeah, when I started working at the senior living facilities, again, it was just something that kind of opened up, and I just went, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever, and it just kind of blew up from there. But you know, when we were younger, we didn't have the kinds of senior living facilities that we have now. Remember the you know, in my mind's eye, it was the nursing home where you walked in and it smelled really bad and everybody laid in bed. It was horrible. And when I first started working in some of these facilities, it just blew my mind, the fact that that's not how it is. And it is its own community. There are a zillion classes going on and every day. Any kind of activity or interest that you have, there's probably a class for that. And the camaraderie that's built up between the people is incredible. And I'm thinking
the reverse of like, you know, it's like day camp for it's like day camp. You know what I mean? Like when you they're playing bongo and they're playing bridge, and the place where I'm moving, we've got a pool table and a dartboard, and there's a pool and a hot tub and like a main community room with, you know, and of course I'm already like, you know, when can I plan the parties?
I know, right?
Hoping that we're able to get back to some kind of party planning situation at some point.
Absolutely. And you know, and I know you don't drink, but most of the new facilities that are getting built, I'm telling you what, they look like 5-star hotels.
I know, right?
I want to live here.
I know, right?
The whole bars and little dance areas, you know, so I get to go teach my line dance, and you know, they have cocktail parties and happy hours, and I mean, they're going on trips, and it's like.
That's why I included fashion in the lineup. I really think it's important to get dressed up.
It absolutely is.
Super important to get dressed up.
It is, and so yeah.
You know, I've got some friends that are older than me, and I make them get dressed up. You know, let's go to a fancy place. Yeah. I have a women's group called Hot Tamales. I'll invite you, by the way.
Oh, I'd love to come. Now we get dressed up when we go out to go to the grocery store with our mask on. So
I know, right? Our mask on. We should bling up our masks, right? But I think it's important. I'll probably do our dinner in the summertime, and we're all ages, right?
Yeah.
Usually together go for dinner, but in February I moved our Valentine's Day dinner until March. And we had a virtual dress up in red online. So it was a smaller party then, because it was like, okay, I'll just wait until this thing passes. But I think that we'll have to do some type of dress up thing, you know, our dress party.
Yeah.
Actually, but I'm hoping we're able to get back to that. But if we're not,
you know, who knows? And I found that my facilities and my people have been so welcoming to moving into a virtual world. I mean, they really have. They're internet savvy. They know how to use Zoom. They're just happy to come together. We have like little coffee clacks before class in the mornings. It's all my, 10 ladies. And then the facilities come on, and it's like, this is our lifeline. This is our social club.
My mom, I'm so grateful that I taught her how to use Zoom before I left Vermont, but never did I know how important it was going to be. I put Zoom and Venmo and all kinds of things on her.
Yeah.
Really important.
I think right now it's a lifesaver.
It's a lifesaver for sure. So you have a thing that you do on Monday called the Movement Mondays. And so we're going to have you post that to the Relentless Talk Radio Health and Fitness every Monday.
Be glad to. Thank you.
So I'm super excited about that. Yeah. And if people are interested in signing on and becoming a member, they can just ask for the Relentless special, and you'll treat them extra special.
Absolutely. You bet. We've got all kinds of, we run about 10 classes a week. Covering all different topics. We're just bringing new instructors on board. So we've got yoga dance class. We've got yoga for all life movements. We've got enhancing energy through, enhancing immunity through breath and movement. And one of my favorite classes is called Energy Up Adaptive Fitness. It's lots of fun. It fires up your energetic systems. We have line dance. We have Tai Chi.
I'm excited. It sounds good to me. Now, do you teach all the classes, or do you have people that work with you?
No, I teach most of the classes at this point. But like I said, we have 3 new instructors that have just come on, and about 3 more. So we're enlarging, opening it up to different instructors to join our team and show us what they've got. One thing I'm really excited about, my daughter, who is also my business partner, is an international, and she's lived in many countries and has many friends from around the world. And we're just launching in August our first called Explore and Experience, and we're experiencing the Indonesian culture through dance. So each month we bring in another international person to share their culture with us. So we actually have a special running on that this week because we just launched that registration. So it's Explore and Experience Indonesian Culture with Tika from Indonesia. So she'll be bringing.
This is the thing I love about to get back to that initial question about the biggest lesson you've learned is being in business, right? Sometimes you think something horrible happens like COVID and the gyms have closed down and we're thinking, oh my God, this is horrible. But on the other hand, being able to experience Indonesian dance
right?
It's a different way to mentally stimulate yourself, learning something different and new, and movements that are somewhat foreign, right?
Absolutely.
Would never have happened had our gyms remained open.
That's right. We would not be having or even be interested in activities like this.
Well, people wouldn't even consider, I can go to the gym. Why would I sign online? So
right. Why would I do that? Yeah.
COVID's been bad for many reasons. Most importantly, the people that we've lost and the families that are losing family members is the most important thing. But I also think that COVID has forced us all to get creative in how we solve the problem. Fill in the blank what the problem is, right?
Yeah.
And so in this case, like for example, with the LLS, I'm been nominated for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society's Woman of the Year.
Oh, congratulations!
I was nominated for this year, and I decided to postpone until next year because I'm doing a lot of things with motorcycle runs and that kind of thing, and I wanted to wait to see what happens with the social piece of it. I'm already thinking about having the motorcycles go in groups of 6.
Oh, wow.
Having them out, you know what I mean? And buying masks that are the right, that are goes to LLS. But we had our gala this year online. And I think from now on, there'll always be an online option. So when we have the gala next year, we're going to have motorcycles staged in the parking lot.
Nice.
Because usually it's a black tie affair, and bikers wouldn't be caught dead in a black tie affair. Many of them, not all of them. So they'll be out in the parking lot. Maybe that might have little bow ties on.
I think it'd be so cool to have the black tie on with the jeans and the leather jacket, 100%.
So they could bid from the parking lot. So, these are things that we wouldn't have thought of had we not had the gala this year. So I do think that COVID is, that's a really awesome thing that you're doing international based fitness. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's important for seniors to remain educated?
Because they need to know why they're doing the things that you're asking them to do, as pertaining to a fitness class or a movement class, or if I'm going to go in and teach them a class. I work with them, every day of the week, and I tell them you need to drink water. Well, if somebody tells me I need to drink water, I want to know why I need to drink water.
I know, right?
Right? And so that's just how I think. It's like, okay, you can tell me to do that, but I need to know how and why that works. So you need to drink water because when you exercise, your body, your muscles and connective tissue stores toxins. It also stores trauma and old events and emotions inside, okay? And when you start exercising, we start loosening that stuff up. Now, do we want to get that out of the body? Mm-hmm. And
yeah, we do.
The water gets that out. If we don't get it out, what's going to happen? It's going to go in deeper, and it's going to be worse than it ever was before, and you're going to be more of a mess. Or for instance,
water is so important. I know. And I forget. This is why I'm always drinking something on Relentless Talk Radio. You know why? Because I forget to drink water all the time.
And we have
Relentless Talk Radio on my cup at some point.
Yeah.
Choose Healthy Change on my cup. But the reality is that you have to drink water. Yep. And if you drink out of a straw, you drink more of it. That's why I always drink.
All right. And so, it's just, if we're educated, we're empowered. Bottom line. We know why we're doing what we're doing. If I tell them, everybody clap your hands, smile, or bust out laughing, they're going to go, lady, what the heck is wrong with you? You're a nutcase. No, I'm not, because what happens when you do those things? You trick the brain into thinking you're happy. You start the release of the feel-good hormones, and you just kicked out stress and anxiety. Hello? Whether you are or not,
And smiling is so important. People don't realize. I was walking across Walmart parking lot the other day, just in my head,
Yeah.
And some African-American guy puts his head out the window and goes, hey, you. And I'm like, what? He's like, smile. And I was like, oh man, I am so walking around like a sad sack. Like if I have a guy yelling at me from the street, but he made me smile and I could feel my whole energy level go up. And it's like, it is, sometimes the most important thing you can do is to smile and act as if.
Absolutely. Just smile or laugh at yourself when you trip walking down the street. You know what?
It had me laughing.
So seriously.
Totally had me laughing. I chuckled with myself the rest of the time because I was,
absolutely. Yeah.
Our day, you know what I mean? And you're going to have those days. But I also think it's important to remember that when you have a great support system, when you have a hard day.
Absolutely. And to ask for help. Say, hey, I'm having a really hard day.
Yeah.
And it's okay to cry if you need to. Because you know what? You've got the support, and that's what we're all here for. And once you cry and get it out, hey, you're good to go.
I feel the same way about tears. If you stuff those tears down deep enough and then they finally come out, they're like acid. You know, I mean, I don't cry as much as I used to. I used to be more of a crybaby.
Yeah.
I've always been a crier. It's part of that. It's a genetic thing. It's the Italian thing. You just be crying. But I'm finding that I cry less. I think part of it is that, I don't know, as you get older and you've had crap happen, it affects you, but it doesn't affect you in the same way. There's two parts of it. One, you know, I mean, you just can't lose your crap over everything that comes your way. When you're younger, everything's the end of the world, and you just and sometimes things actually are the end of the world. Okay, and you do need to cry and get that out. But sometimes I got time. I got shit to do.
Most of the stuff that we used to get upset about or dramatize, not dramatized over, it really makes no difference in the end. You know, it really doesn't matter. So, and one thing, you said something earlier, and I can't remember what it was, but it's the fact that when we get to a certain, I know what it was owning your age. You know, when I was 60, I didn't want to tell anybody how old I was. And it was like, hey, I damn well am going to tell people how old I am, because I'm pretty proud of the way I looked and how I feel. And the older we age, the more we can own it. And we don't really care. We don't have to put on airs anymore. We can just be real. And
oh my God, my 52, almost 53-year-old self would not go back to being 23 if you paid.
Oh my gosh, me neither.
If I have a couple creases in my forehead, I would all day long have the creases in my forehead. Although I wish this crease was symmetrical. It bothers me a little bit to the right. I don't mind wrinkling. I just want it to be symmetrical, right?
So, I know.
The amount of angst you have when you're younger, compared to what happens as you get older, and you realize that some things, it's, you know, I had a conversation last weekend that I so upset over after I had it. And then I realized even a couple hours later, I'm like, why am I so upset?
Yeah.
It's a habit.
It is a habit. We get into those habitual patterns
that we tell ourselves when we're younger, that certain things have to be a certain way.
Right.
But part of the beauty of aging is that you realize it doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't. And it's a process. You know, it's a process.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I look at my arms.
What's that?
I said, I'll look at my arms and go, oh my gosh, I got my mother's arms. You know? It's like, hey, I'm proud of these arms. They've carried a lot of babies and done a lot of hard work. It's okay if they're a little wrinkly, you know. It's like, you know, get over yourself. It doesn't really matter. Just be you and own it. It's all good.
Well, the fact of the matter is, you've earned every single one of those wrinkles. I mean, giving birth to children is no small thing.
That's true.
You know, I've been birth mom. You know, I've caught the baby with the catcher's mitt with the doctor like a couple times. You know, and it's probably why I didn't have him. Because I'm like, wow. I mean, like, really? Like, women do this all day long? I mean, like, we do that times, a huge thing. Like, a baby coming out of your body is like a human being coming out of another human being, a huge thing. You know?
It is a huge thing.
So yes, it's possible that women who've had multiple children think that they're supposed to look like they didn't. How could you, you know? Although, let me tell you, I'm a bodybuilder, so I have lots of women that I train with who've had multiple children that you wouldn't be able to tell at all.
That's right. That's the miracle of the body. Totally regenerates.
Totally regenerates, 100%. But, you know, I mean, this idea that beauty only comes in one package also is really offensive to me. Yeah. Like and it's not because I'm getting older. It always has been offensive to me.
Yeah.
Why is beauty only young and smooth face and skin has to be a certain way? Like, why is that? That's not true. Because when I remember seeing my grandmother's face when I was a child, she was the most beautiful woman ever. I didn't have this idea of she has to have a porcelain face in order to be that her boobs have to be a certain size or be in a certain place.
Right.
You know, it just, to me, it was her spirit and her smile and her eyes, how she carried herself. She was a beautiful woman.
Absolutely.
And it had nothing to do with the societal, you know, cover of, like right now, I got nominated to be the cover of Ms. Health and Fitness magazine. There's no way in hell I'm going to win that. There's probably 150 people running it, but I'm like, okay, I'll accept the nomination. I'm like, I think I'm 6th out of like 32 people in my group right now.
Nice.
But I think to myself, it's really not about the traditional idea of what beauty is. That's what makes people beautiful to me.
Yes,
To
absolutely.
me, it's about your heart and your spirit. And that sounds like, whatever, Michelle. But if you haven't got a good heart and spirit, you can be a porcelain faced Barbie doll with big boobs and you're ugly to me.
That's right. And that's what shines through. It's that vibe, it's the energy, it's the who you are. We are just living inside of these bodies. Our body is in us. We just live here. So we better treat it like it's a Cadillac or a Mercedes versus an old beat up Ford Focus. But you know what? Let you shine out of that so that you're expressing who you are. That's the beauty right there. And it doesn't matter if you're 18 or 88.
Now, one of the girls on my team has lost over 400 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Her name is Kenya.
Wow.
On the cover of People magazine for being the biggest loser, like the most weight lost in the country.
Wow.
One of those people that, she was 400 pounds heavier. So if she needed to go to the doctors in an ambulance, they would have had to come get a crane to get her out of the bed because she was that heavy. And now she's a size 6.
Wow.
And she's like, African-American woman, gets the nails done, lipstick, has her head shaved and dyed blonde. I mean, she's like totally flamboyant. But if you were to see her when she was heavier, she wasn't celebrating herself that way.
Right.
And she's an older woman. She's older than I am. I don't know what her age is, but she's not a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old, older person. And to me, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
She's beautiful because, and even with, when you have that much weight loss, you're going to have some skin that sags, and you're going to, I don't know whether she plans on having any surgery for that. And quite frankly, I've had friends that have lost that kind of weight and they don't want to get the surgery because they want to remember. I had a girlfriend, Stacy. She lost 150 pounds twice. She lost it, then she gained it back when she had a stressful situation because she wasn't dealing with this.
Right, right.
That's the thing. Like if you go on a transformation journey, whether it's weight loss or gain, because some people have the opposite problem, they're too thin, and they need to change their body. Sometimes having a memory of the skin is what keeps her from saying, I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah.
Because she did actually, I think she did it 3 times, 150 pounds.
Wow, good for her. Good for her. And
so now downside, but yeah, absolutely good for her,
Yeah, and life is a transformational journey. Whether we choose to embark on that or not, it is, whether you're going to be an active participant in that transformation or not. And I think that each one of us in that transformational journey, it's our responsibility to ourselves to understand who we are and how to best cope, and to also give ourselves some compassion and some love, and be our biggest supporter instead of our biggest judge and critic. It's like, love yourself enough to embrace who you are, and how are you going to feel the best about yourself. And for somebody, it might be holding on to that 450 pounds because they're not ready to release that. But for somebody like this person, that's how she chose to do that. And that makes her feel better about herself. Or somebody that has face work done or doesn't have face work done. It's up to each one of us. We're not to judge how another person lives. Well,
100%. I used to be a little more judgmental about the whole facelift thing. And I think it's very easy for a younger person to be judgmental.
For sure. Because they're not there.
Yeah. I haven't had any work done yet, but I might get Botox here at some point.
Yeah. And I've never had any work done either, but I've got some things I'd like to change. But will I actually ever get down to it? I don't know. Maybe not.
It's a very personal preference, you know what I mean? And also, I think that, I've got friends that were very fit. They're still fit as they're older, and they continue to remain fit. And if some people that weren't fit, it's not important to them. But the reality is that no matter where you are in life, fitness is about health, and health is about time on the planet. Mm-hmm. And it's how you spend your time on the planet. Yeah. So if you get up and you do a couple classes with you, and you go for a walk, and you tune in and you do a class with Relentless Talk Radio, and then you maybe go for a jog or play golf, you're using your brain, you're using your body, you're socializing, okay? You're reducing your stress, and you're giving yourself a purpose, and that is what makes a life worth living.
Absolutely.
It's not necessarily about, looking a certain way, although quite frankly, I'm in the health and fitness industry, and I do photo shoots, and I want those photo shoots to look good, and there's nothing wrong with that. either.
Right. There's nothing wrong with that. Trying to look our best, however that works for each one of us. We do. We want to look our best. We're public figures. And,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, if I'm not doing what I'm telling you to do, I have no reason to be teaching you what I know and I'm not doing.
Oh.
Right? And sure, I may wake up one day and say, I don't want to move a muscle in my body today. I'm going to sit on the sofa and watch TV. Hey, go for it. Maybe you need to rest. That's a big part of our health regime. But there's
something that we don't talk an awful lot about, and I think that it's definitely something I want to talk about. Your sexuality. Recently, I had someone watch a show, see a couple of my photo shoots, and be upset with me because I was promoting what a man's gaze view of beauty. And I thought, let me think about that for a minute. So we are men and women on this planet. And whether your sexuality is to the same gender or it's to a different gender, irrelevant, right? But part of feeling and looking better is attached to your sexuality. And I don't believe that being asexual and covering myself up and gaining weight and not addressing the sexy part of me makes me less of a feminist.
Right. Or
less pro-woman, if you don't like the word feminist, because feminist to me has a bad connotation. But I don't believe I become a victim of the male gaze or the male ideology when I take care of myself and walk in confidence with self-respect in my own skin as a woman who refuses to allow her sexuality to dry up like a prune.
Amen. 100%.
I do not think that being a positive woman means that you cover up your sexuality. I believe in stilettos and micro minis and big fake eyelashes. And if that's what you feel like wearing, I also believe in my gray flannel robe with no makeup on and my hair up in a bun. I believe that we are sexual in all aspects of our life. And
it's a huge part of who we are. We can't deny that. And, again, that's saying, so, there's a fine line there. Well, maybe it's not so fine, but it's like I put a bikini on and I go down to the swimming pool, or when I go travel to Vietnam and I'm out on the beaches, guess what? I'm wearing my bikini. If you don't like it, I'm so sorry. I'm not wearing it for you. I'm wearing it for me because it makes me feel good, and I'm comfortable in my skin.
Right.
And you know what? I got a good body, and I am a sexy lady at the age of 67. And that's part of who I am. Now, am I doing it to try to lure some guy into my bed? Absolutely not. That's not who I am. And, I'm so sorry if you are a person that
has disqualified that experience from your life.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Because you're placing judgment on me as a person. So my question would be, what's inside of you that maybe you need to look at so that you're not judging me for who I am, whether I have my flannel pajamas on or I have a bikini on and I'm out on the beach.
Right.
It's like,
100%.
We don't judge each other.
And I also think that, I've always been a bustier wearing leather, East Village, different color hair, big lips, hair, that's part of who I am. It was part of who I was when I was in my 20s. And I kept on thinking, like, as I get older, maybe that'll go away. Like, no, it doesn't go away. If that's who you are, if you look at Iris, the designer, she's lots of bangles and big glasses and, 90 years old, right?
It's like
your sexuality, however you choose to express it. And if your body is fit, and you're confident in your own skin, then, part of that may be wearing less clothes or wearing tighter clothes or whatever, but that's completely up to you as an individual. And it doesn't make me any less pro-woman or any, I was in a bar the other day and a young man said, how can a man rape his wife? He really was like totally oblivious to the fact that you actually could be married to a person and rape your wife. And I thought, this is the kind of thinking why our sexuality is so screwy,
Right.
That just because you're fit and you're dressed nicely and you're putting out that sexuality in the world, doesn't mean that you're loose or that you or less than, or somehow you're diminishing women or setting yourself up for that type of behavior. It just means that you're confident in your own skin and that you still are having fun with your sexuality.
Absolutely.
And it does not mean that you're signing up for men or woman bashing or any kind of inappropriate sexual behavior or diminishing the value of any particular gender. It just means that you're celebrating it. I think that whether you're 20 or you're 90, your sexuality is very much a part of who you are. And we can't talk about fitness and not touch on that a little bit.
No, you can't. And, you know, and again, it's all about body image, and it's about owning yourself no matter what. I just wanted to share one thing with you. I was in Brazil a couple years ago, and I was so, I don't know exactly what the word is I'm looking for here, but on the beaches, it didn't matter. You know, Brazilians are known for skimpy bikinis, you know,
right,
for thong bikinis, men and women both.
right.
And, you know, one thing that I found so freeing, I guess that's the word I want to use here, is it didn't matter the size of the person. On Sundays, everybody came out. It was a big family day. It was party day, celebration day. And there were people maybe 300 pounds big wearing their bikinis on the beach, just like somebody that weighed 100 pounds. And it was, I just had to smile and go, oh my gosh, this is so free. This is so healthy, because they're not like, oh my gosh, I should be sitting here in a tent. No, you know what? They were comfortable enough with themselves on the inside, not really be so self-conscious on the outside. So that, I think so much of it stems from whether you are the person wearing the bikini or you're the onlooker that is judging somebody for wearing a bikini.
100%.
Like, so what's on the inside that's causing both of us to, I mean, what's going on?
Where does the judgment come from?
And why do we feel like we need to do that?
I think it's a riot that we've gone 15 minutes over. I don't even notice it.
That's so funny.
I don't have a producer that I'm overpaying right now. But so Vickie, I want to tell you, thank you very much. You and I actually met online, and I just love it when I meet someone and you know, people are watching actually the development of a relationship right here.
How fun is it? Yeah.
Why I created Relentless Talk Radio was to build relationships. If the only relationships I have are the 280 people that I've interviewed so far, then I've been successful. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
and if I talk to those people, awesome, right? So I'm just so grateful that you and I had a chance to meet and chat, and we've had this healthy conversation about aging and generally.
Thank you, Michelle.
I'm looking forward to seeing your class posted on Mondays on Relentless Talk Radio's Health and Fitness.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to your dailies.
I'm going to put your website on the bottom, alivefitandfree.com.
Perfect.
And reach out to Vickie and ask her for the Relentless special. So thank you very much, sister. You have a good rest of your day.
Honey. Talk to you soon. Bye.